The sprint was seductive, the rush, the rise, but the crash came quick, no real surprise. We've worshipped the winds that come overnight, but rarely the roots that hold them right. We've chased the buzz, the launch, the fame, while forgetting success is a long, slow game. I used to think stillness was boring or wrong till I found my strength in a quieter song. In the pause, I heard my own rhythms call. The steady became the most radical of all. It's not less ambition, it's refined devotion. It's rhythm replacing erratic motion. It's nervous system wealth, the steady kind, the magic that builds when you're not in a bind. So if you're done with the hustle, the prove it to please, welcome the season of sustainable ease. There comes a point in every entrepreneur's evolution. Every human's evolution. There comes a time in the evolutionary process where fast stops feeling free, stops feeling like the way, and steadier starts feeling sacred, more compelling, even to the point of boredom starting to feel very attractive as part of the call to this threshold. This episode is about that turning point, the shift from chasing momentum to cultivating rhythm, from adrenaline as fuel to regulation as wealth. In this episode, we are going to explore the piece of my birth chart that changed how I define success and how knowing yours could too. What it takes to build secure attachment with money and why consistency is the real magic. How to begin moving toward that security through your own money attachment style, the beauty of defining enough on your own terms, and why the real win is always found in staying power, not speed. So, let's get into it with first a bit of a personal share around something in my chart that makes this topic especially near and dear to my heart. This is one of those things where, because of my design, my profile, I'm especially qualified to speak to this. Is qualified even the word? It's mine. It's close to me. However, there's so many gems and so much wisdom here for everyone and anyone, and especially those who are entrepreneurs building an online business. I want to share my vantage point, how I'm anchored into this, to illuminate it so that you can pull something out of it that is helpful for you too. The personal reveal here is, I mentioned there's a part of my chart that has taught me more about success than any business course ever could. I think that we're going to hit this from two angles because it's my North Node. On one hand, I want you to take from this that your North Node also holds keys and clues to what success means for you, and also that there's clues and codes here in mine that can be helpful for anyone. Your North Node is the place in your astrology chart that points toward your soul aligned growth in this lifetime. It's opposite your South Node, which is like your point of familiarity. You can look at it through the lens of your past life or past lives that are ripe for you to evolve from and beyond in this one. They're positioned opposite of each other such that your South Node feels really comfy and cozy, but also kind of feels like soul growth death, like stagnation, because you're not meant to go that direction this life, even though you're already pretty good at and familiar with it. You are designed and oriented to go the other way. So that way, that terrain of your North Node often feels uncomfortable, unfamiliar. It's like what's beyond your comfort zone. If you've seen that meme chart, graphic depiction of inside is your comfort zone, outside is where the growth happens. So your North Node is unfamiliar. relatively speaking, to the familiarity and comfort zone of your south node, but is so liberating. It's freeing. It's like the missing piece medicine that makes everything else make sense and flow better. So it is an incredible thing to know. I also like to say about your north node that it's like everything else follows that principle of physics that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It simply changes form. That's the case with every other signature of your birth chart, that it expresses somehow throughout your lifetime. Each of them do. However, unconsciously or consciously, hopefully, eventually, it's expressing through you somehow. Your north node doesn't follow that principle. It's kind of like lies dormant until you consciously choose to enact it. Because again, it's like outside of that familiarity, that comfort zone, that auto wiring that you actually have to will into your embodiment. With that little contextual background of what the north node is in general, my share for this episode is that mine is in Taurus. So when you know your north node, you both then know your dormant, latent superpower, but also like what you kind of suck at, right? It's like the thing that you came here to learn, to explore, to lean into and repeat that leaning into like muscle reps, to train yourself to normalize going in that direction, even though you are not born with that feeling normal. For me, my lifelong invitation of my North Node is in Taurus style to slow down, to ground, and to trust steady rhythm over sudden leaps. So you can see the relevance to the topic of this episode. It's Scorpio season right now, so relevantly so as well. My south node, my comfort zone is the Scorpio, the wheel of change, the cathartic transformation that happens when you go down into the depths and then rise like a phoenix from the ashes into the empowered embodiment of your next step, your next season. That's what feels normal to me. So for me to learn to slow down, to ground, to calm, and to really lean into what my Scorpio would define as boring is where the magic is for me this life and what I'm speaking into and through here in this episode. I once felt straight up resistance, which is often the case with your relationship to your North Node until you make that conscious choice to orient to it differently. At that time, slow seemed boring, basically, or like that which was calming to my nervous system, that which was more consistent and steady and stable felt boring. It's interesting to trace this arc through different areas of my life. It's been the case in business. I used to be a tax preparer, where that seasonal freak out rush of tax season lit a fire under my ass time and time again. That was what motivated me to show up in my work. Things are looking different now. I'm motivated now in this season of my life to be building something that is more sustainable. And so that was the case in my business, also in my love life, intimate relationship side of things. Same. I attracted partners for most of my life until I finally didn't, that were very nervous system activating. And to me, that felt like, that high, that rush was what I was craving. It was what I was after. It was what I defined as aligned. Those butterflies in my stomach, the dysregulation was what I was attached and attracted to, until I finally and very deliberately chose the quote boring path and a partner that is now with me creating the foundation of a much chiller life that, spoiler alert, is also supporting so many things that were not possible otherwise. Being able to create this business, to show up consistently. They all kind of follow similar parallel wavelengths and timelines. It's been a big theme, a big arc in my life to go from craving that fast paced, nervous system activating rush and high of my operating system in life to now being years deep in embracing the slower, boring side of things, which honestly has been my liberation. I hope that the takeaway that you get from this part of my share is that alignment isn't about doing what feels natural, which seems backwards, right? I'm sure there was some things in there about this arc that I'm sharing that you've experienced or intuited or felt into, or that just translates as general wisdom, right? That's real. But also, your North Node is different. And interestingly, you might be someone that's totally opposite to me. You might have a South Node in Taurus and a North Node in Scorpio, where what's familiar and comfortable for you is the chill, and that you need to embrace that cathartic, transformational wheel of change. So, that said, regardless, whatever yours is, alignment is on the other side of what feels most natural and most comfortable, and is ultimately about learning that energetic muscle that you came here to strengthen of leaning to the other side. So for me, that lesson with my North Node in Taurus has shown up in a lot of ways, but in a big way in my relationship with money. Which makes it no surprise that a big part of my lens in teaching around the money stuff is, what is your attachment style? What type of relationship are you in with it now? And how can you get to a more secure, stable, nervous system regulating relationship with your money, akin to secure attachment in relationship? Because your relationship with money is just like any other relationship and is a kind of primary attachment figure in your life. So you also have a human primary attachment figure, likely was probably your parents when you were young and then morphed into someone else that you've now chosen. But most of us are to some extent either anxious or avoidant or disorganized in how we relate to our primary attachment figure. It's interesting to look at the parallel of how this operates with your intimate relating and your financial relating. They're often different, by the way, the nature of the wheel. We're looking at different life areas. Often the mode that makes up that attachment style is different in intimacy to in finance, but it's interesting to note how that operates similarly, whichever you happen to be in each of those arenas. To create that overlap, to better understand, when we are dating our money, we flirt when it's fun and we ghost when it's hard before we've crossed that threshold of commitment. On the flip side, building secure attachment happens when we do commit, and so we are rhythmic in our interactions, similar to a long term committed relationship. What's possible there in terms of secure attachment is very different than on the dating scene, where it's a bit more casual and harder to rely on. So, no surprise if that's your relationship with your money, it's probably hard to rely on money. To the cause of rhythm with your relationship with your money, one of the things that I love to look at and know, something that most people don't about themselves, even if they know their astrology or their big three, is the moon phase you were born under. Inside Cosmic Currency, we use this placement to understand your cycle code, which helps to ritualize your consistency, to align that rhythm with your your own internal rhythm that was imprinted, impacted, influenced by the moment that you took your first breath and whatever moon phase we were in that marked the energy of that moment. That monthly or lunar based money date, if you sync those together in some way, helps to naturally, through doing it over and over again, enforce a sense of safety with money. This is a really cool kind of practical magic to do as a business owner specifically, but then generally too, just understanding how there's similarity here. How does consistency happen in a relationship? It happens through communication and regular check-ins, just like your money needs. How does security happen in any relationship? It happens through showing up even when it's unsexy, right? Even when it's hard, even when it's boring, for better or for worse, you show up. And what does that commitment create in relationship? The quiet confidence and nervous system chill that that person is going to be there and that you're going to return to. I want to offer the emotional reframe here through this lens with your relationship with money, that safety doesn't make life smaller or boring, right? When you reach financial security, you're able to invest in and splurge on and treat you and the people you love to things that are very unboring. Actually, safety in your relationship with money ultimately makes expansion into those next level lifestyles that you are envisioning possible, reachable, and sustainable. So, once you understand your own attachment style with money, the whole pattern can start to shift and reorient toward secure attachment. If you're listening to this and this is speaking to you, if you can relate to being caught in a push and pull with money, similar to relating with fuckboys on the dating scene, where sometimes it feels all in, sometimes there's total avoidance. You're not alone. Super common when it comes to relating the money stuff until, just like in intimate relating, you consciously choose to go a different direction. What happens is, without realizing it, when we're operating unconsciously around it, we keep replaying those old attachment patterns every time we open our banking app or plan our next launch or whatever other activity happens in our relationship with money. Imagine, what would it feel like to, first of all, know exactly what your pattern is, because awareness is everything, and to know what safety actually looks and feels like for you, so that you can connect those dots and see a clear path with next steps of exactly how to get from where you are to that financial security. That is exactly what the Cosmic Money Style Quiz is here to do for you, to help you discover what your unique money attachment style is now, and then get that personalized guidance to move toward a secure flow with money. You can go take it right now for free. Takes less than 10 minutes, said and done, to take the quiz and dig into all of the goodies and resources and supporting pieces that you'll get immediately after. You can go to cosmicb.link/quiz to take the quiz now and find out your money attachment style. Now that we've opened that awareness, let's talk about what it looks like when somebody actually starts embodying it. I want to share about a client's experience inside Cosmic Currency. This was after her getting really clear using the tools in the program of exactly how much she needed to make to fund her current bills and responsibilities, her current life, and what she would need to make to be able to get to that next level, specifically around the new upgrade she wanted to call in. After being equipped with those specific numbers, then playing with a tool in there to then envision, show herself all the different ways that the income could come in to meet those numbers. So, how she could structure her offers, what the quantities and price points would need to be, other streams of income that she could bring into the mix. What happened for her when she started playing with the income streams tool is she realized and was able to show herself that she can break it up however she wants. Once she saw how clearly and just was able to see simply what those numbers were, it was like, okay, now I don't have to worry so much about the money and, is it going to come? Is it going to happen? She was able to map that all out in a really chill way so that then it was more about, well, how do I want to make that money? How do I want to design things to make what I need? For her, a big part of that was her yearly flow. She mentioned that she had a business coach in the past that was always telling her just like more, 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 and basically encouraging her to compare herself to the trajectory of others and kind of this infinite arc of expansion. Whereas for her, inside Cosmic Currency, she was like, well, wait, I know exactly how much I need to make. So whatever that aim is doesn't make sense to me. I know what I need to feel comfortable now and to be making my way toward the win of my next level that's going to feel like success for me. And I could take a quarter of every year off. I could load my income during certain months with certain programs and certain launches to know that I could take a summer off every year. That would be cool. Through that lens, she was able to reflect on, well, like, when do I feel at most capacity throughout the year? What seasons do I most want to show up and serve? What seasons do I feel more inward and want to be in a build phase? And to build her income generating activities around that flow and that rhythm that feels natural to her in a way that is going to bring in the revenue and the funds that she needs to cover her expenses. This was huge, right? All of a sudden, it just felt like such a clear separation for her of everything she's been told and taught on one side, and on the other side, what she revealed in Cosmic Currency of exactly what matters to her, the money she needs to make, the rhythm that feels natural to her, and the yearly flow that would feel aligned with both practically and energetically. She mentioned the realization around this that she doesn't want every day to be a 10K day. That doesn't fit with anything that actually matters for her. So that contrast of what her coach taught her, or ultimately what is this like collective conditioning to always be reaching for more, with a clear, calm confidence in choosing enough and structuring the systems to support just that. For her, she shared that this was freedom in motion. So, that embodied freedom of deciding for you when, how much, and why you work, what motivates your level of activity, of effort, of participation every step of the way. And that it tied into her nervous system in such a big way. It reduced this never enough, this panic feeling, and all of the comparisonitis that comes with comparing yourself to other people instead of aligning yourself with what matters to you, which ultimately she shared felt like it liberated her creativity as well because she wasn't worrying about all that anymore. I hope the takeaway for you here is that enough isn't a ceiling. It's not like a surrendering to not growing or like staying small. Enough is actually a stabilizing base that then allows for you to expand without collapse or burnout. This was just one student's story, but speaks to how the work inside Cosmic Currency supports students to and ultimately gives them permission to, through them getting clear of exactly what matters to them on the money side and also aligning with their cosmic design on the energetic side to really design income and all of the systems that support it around your own rhythm. Because that's the thing, is when you build from that steady pace that feels aligned with who you are, time itself starts working differently. On the topic of time, I want to reference something I saw in a meme somewhere about how the game you're playing as an entrepreneur is longer than you think. Because the truth and the unfortunate thing that ends up landing as a death sentence for so many entrepreneurs is that most people quit before the compound curve kicks in. This idea of compounding, this is something in money. You've probably heard of compounding interest, which is a powerful exponential mathematical phenomenon whereby you're making interest on your principal, then that's getting added to the principal. Now that principal is even bigger that the interest is being calculated on. So it has this compounding effect where it gets bigger and bigger more quickly, and it creates this exponential curve. This is the case in money with compounding interest, the same as it is with your time and effort as a business owner. This points to a reframe around long-term consistency, which is the name of the game and the topic of this episode, is honestly the truest form of magic. This is the Taurus art of compounding devotion. This is not quick results, get rich quick schemes. This is the long-term game of what happens when you fully invest yourself in the process and surrender to going along for the ride, however long it takes you to get to your vision, which, spoiler alert, hopefully you never get to a point where you feel like you've made it and you're done. Hopefully you never get to where you cease to feel motivated and inspired to continue to grow and evolve. The biggest piece here, I've been talking about boredom. Ultimately, what I'm talking about is patience. That thing that's so hard for us as kids, but gets so much easier, hopefully, if you're paying attention as you mature, and is all part of that compounding effect of time that makes all of this more easier the older we get, the longer we've been doing this, because it's not about how fast you can scale. It's about how long you can stay. The entrepreneurs that find true lasting success don't have any particular gifts or skill sets or anything that you think that they might have and you don't. The one thing that makes the difference between those that, quote, make it and those that don't is that they didn't give up, is that they kept coming back. They kept leaning in, and they patiently awaited that inevitable compounding effect, the curve that will deliver them where they are envisioning to go. So just like the name of this episode, sustainable success is seasonal. It matures like good soil, not viral moments. It's why it feels so right to me to be bringing this seasonal cosmic money ritual reset into the mix. The last one for autumn was incredible. The next one for winter is going to iterate to be even more awesome, because I know and have seen and have felt, and you do too, the value of seasonal passes, of coming back again and again to make the things that you create and your relationship to them better every time. So the question I want to pose for you is, what if success was never supposed to be a sprint? What if those creative waves we ride are just meant to be blips as part of this bigger picture, bigger timeline journey? What if the real flex is in the rhythm that you can sustain and how long you can maintain it to continue to play the game. The season we're in asks for devotion to the cause of whatever motivates you in your business, not demand for some metric of success. It's all about tending what's there, not testing yourself or the results to see if you're winning. When you choose safety every step of the way over speed to get wherever you're going, when you choose rhythm to stay consistent over reaction to try and fix things as they go wrong, you start to notice how much more life can move through you, how much increased capacity you grow to be able to weather those things going wrong. Let this be the moment that you decide to commit to stay in the relationship, come what may, with your money, with your mission, and with the way that you refine your relationship with your magic to infuse all of it. If you haven't yet, go take the Cosmic Money Style quiz to find out your money attachment style so that you can better know and understand how your attachment style is showing up in your relationship with money. Make the unconscious conscious and start moving toward that secure, steady flow of finance within your business. You can take that at cosmicb.link/quiz. Because if you're in this for the long game, we are not rushing this chapter. Wherever you are right now is where you're meant to be. I encourage you to root into it and get comfy because sustainable success, should you choose to accept it, is not the end of the magic. It is the tried and true vessel that is going to ensure that it lasts.